Hello and welcome to the E-commerce Leader Series, the podcast dedicated to helping founders and e-commerce leaders navigate the future of online retail with AI. I'm your host, Brian Kinghorn. I'm the head of growth at Luca. And today I'm thrilled to be joined by Ari Tulla, who is the co-founder and CEO at Elo Health, a leader in the personalized nutrition space. So, Ari, thanks very much for being here. And before we dive into the main topic, firstly, how are you doing today? And also, would you mind just giving us a bit of a background on yourself and what Elo does?
Cool. Doing great today. I was sick for the last week, plenty of time to watch the Olympics, and nice to be back on track, getting to the snow. I hope here in California in about 2 days. So we have a ski week going.
Awesome.
So my background, I'm from Finland. Moved to Bay Area, San Francisco about 20 years ago, and I started building startups late 90s, and have built few since in gaming, in the Web 1.0, in kind of app development and healthcare and now in nutrition. So been kind of doing many things, and my dabbling with AI started quite long ago. So we built a data company or two data companies in AI, kind of looking at big data, trying to make sense of it, more like algorithmic type of things. The last 5 years, I've been working on Elo Health, which is a personalized nutrition platform. What we do, we build products for different things in healthcare that can be supported by nutrition. Think about people who want to get pregnant. They want to have the right nutrition that is helping them to conceive. People who want to lose weight, and then maybe they go and use Ozempic, and they want to have nutrition that can help them to alleviate the side effects, like losing muscle mass or nutrient deficiency and so forth. People who buy an Oura ring or whatever they buy, and they want to sleep better. So we built the products that help people fall asleep faster and so forth. That's what we do. And but we started the company as a kind of the first company of this type, where you do a blood biomarker testing. You do a finger prick at home. You send your blood out to a lab. We test it out, and you also connect all your different wearable devices into a platform, and you go through health assessment. And then we had an intake with the dietitian, and then we gave you custom nutrition products that are made for you. We even 3D printed them custom to you with your name on top. Very complicated, very, very high end. And that was the beginning. And so we kind of had to, this is like 5 years ago, before the LLMs. And we had to build that algorithmically. So we spent about $10 million of our money in the company to build a system that is able to take the data and turn it into meaning. So I'm like in the middle of this mess in a way that, you build that, and then LLMs can come and they are 10 times better than you can be, even after spending $10 million. So it's been a kind of interesting learning for me. And I try to really be, and the whole team, we try to be in the forefront of deploying these new tools in everything we do.
Okay. No, sounds awesome. And what was the initial, why did you start Elo? What was the initial driver to start the business?
Yeah, so I got into healthcare 2010. That was the time when the first kind of we had the first wave of the new type of healthcare companies who were using mobiles and using this new data platforms and so forth, and taking it to cloud. I built a company called Better Doctor that then later morphed into a company called Quest Analytics, a big data play in healthcare, powering doctor data for everybody. So I got to healthcare because we had health issues with my family. We were trying to get pregnant, and it took us a long time. And we spent almost 10 years of our time, a lot of money, a lot of time, effort into it. And there was a lot of drama along the way. So I wanted to kind of go out of, I was in video game before. I was like, I want to do something meaningful for myself and for my family. So we couldn't find the right doctor. We lost our first son, for example. And then we built this company to find doctors. And then my wife was basically healed with nutrition. We got a verdict, we can never have a family. And we hacked her body back in track by nutrition. So it's really meaningful for us. We now have two wonderful kids. My son is behind there, and they're 11 and 7, my daughter. So it's
Awesome.
been really like a long haul. And I wanted to really build something in nutrition because I think that food is medicine. And of course, in Europe, you don't maybe talk about it so much, but here in the US, we have a new health minister, RFK. We can debate about him left and right, but he is talking about nutrition being important. And in that one thing, he is right, where 70% of Americans are overweight, 45% people are obese.
Yeah.
If you take a comparison in Europe, Italy, 8%,
Yeah.
45 in the US,
Yeah.
Japan, 3%. So it's like unbelievably big problem in the US today. And
Yeah.
basically people who are now teenagers or their 20s, they will live less long than their parents.
Yeah.
That's a pretty
Crazy.
big issue. It has never
Yeah.
happened in the history of like the lifespan was going down in the US for the last few years. So those are kind of the magnificent, like really big issues that can only be solved by better medicine, better lifestyle, and also better food and nutrition.
Amazing. No, it's amazing. It's always awesome to hear such like a personal reason behind starting a business as well. So no, thanks for sharing all that. And I suppose as you've said you've been doing it Elo for 5 years now. I'm sure along the way there's been many issues and challenges you've had to contend with. So I suppose starting to kind of go towards the AI side of things, what are some of the sort of biggest like operational bottlenecks you've had to encounter, and how have you helped with AI? How have you used AI to help that? And just I suppose tell us a bit about your team, like how many are there, and yeah, any of the bottlenecks you've encountered along the way.
Yes, I think the first of all, like I think we have been at the best about 40 people, and
Okay,
today we are less than half of that because of
okay,
the simplification of business and also the operation efficiency we can get with AI. So it's been really interesting to uh, move, things like if you think about the bottlenecks, customer support, you can move
yeah,
that to AI fairly easily today. We did that some years ago. Um, think about marketing. You had a lot of people doing manual, creation of assets. You had
yeah,
people doing placement of ads. That's mainly now done with AI. We had
yeah,
a pretty big team on building a website. So Elo was fully custom built from the get-go because we were fully personalized. So you couldn't really
yeah,
use any standalone platform. So we built our own tech stack. We had about 10 full-time developers in the team to build that. We had built the mobile apps. We built a lot of different things.
yeah,
We built a chatbot for customers, all those things. And now what we do more e-commerce today. We went from the hyper-personalization into goal specific. So you go from billion product SKUs in a way, they're
yeah,
all custom to,
yeah.
let's say, 20. So you can
Okay,
simplify the business. And that was what people wanted. So now it's basically Shopify, Stack, using Amazon, using a few other things. So it becomes super simple. So you go from
yeah,
10 developers to 2 developers,
yeah,
as an example. And those have been huge unlocks for profitability of business and also the growth of business. But I think one important point that I want to kind of highlight here, which is I think relevant for quite a few people. So because we were custom made products, so we had no inventory at all. Everything was made to order. So it's like, you make suits or
yeah,
you make custom shirts. Like you can't put it in Amazon because you don't
yeah,
have an inventory. You can't go to retail because you don't have inventory. So for us, we were like, if you think about the pure D2C play, we were like the purest of D2C play.
yeah,
You can only sell in your own channel. And this better than anyone, of course, that market is tough as hell.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
if you are not in retail, you are not in Amazon, you are not in any of these platforms, you have to build your own momentum, your own advertising. And of course, the meta cost went up sky high.
yeah,
All these things are getting more and more suffocated or um, business usual in a way that TikTok was getting more difficult. Like you find a one angle that you can drive traffic, and
yeah,
then that is taken away when everybody go there.
yeah,
Best example, I think, in early on we did some podcasting, marketing podcast that worked pretty well. We worked with our CMO who built at the time he was our CMO who used to work for Forest Sigmatic. He was one of the
okay,
founders there, and they
yeah,
were the first company ever advertised in podcast. They were the first ad in Tim Ferriss and Joe Rogan both. First money that they made.
Yeah.
So I mean, they invented this idea. Like, you know how much they paid per lead? It was not much.
Yeah, I can
Same
imagine.
as early
Back
Facebook,
then.
early TikTok. Yeah. So now we were kind of coming to world, and in COVID, it was like a hyper competitive.
Yeah.
So now when we got from the D2C, pure D2C into opening Amazon, opening partnerships, opening all those things, it completely changed our CAC structure.
Yeah.
And that's been really important, I think, unlock. And now when you can then put the AI wrapper around it, and you can have less people working on more things, you can build a really profitable, good business.
Yeah, awesome. And so I suppose to expand on that, then you've mentioned a couple of things there, like ad spend and marketing specifically around using AI. So what are you like? How are you making some of these critical decisions now around ad spend or marketing, with the sheer volume of data that we have available to us now? What are you using, or how are you sort of narrowing things down to make those critical decisions?
Yeah, so we did spend millions in Meta, in social before on the D2C, and we kind of pared that down completely. We became more of almost like a B2B2C company where we work with partners who have already access to customers. So we work with clinics, we work with kind of these big healthcare companies who already have customers, and they help us to sell. So we kind of went from CAC high to CAC zero. Of course, you bound to do the partner, but then we are going back to Amazon now. We are going back to all of these places. We open D2C again because we have enough momentum now that it's easy. We have a kind of core business that makes millions of revenue, and then you have this, you open new channel to get more growth. So we are right at the moment now doing this work in house. So I mean, anything I say today is kind of going to be I don't have the proof point yet, but we are trying to kind of completely rebuild the stack from the first principles. So the idea is that, okay, now we went to Amazon. Okay, like what is the right approach to go there? Okay, how do we create assets? How do we create the plan? So the first step we are doing now, and we have already done mainly, is that we plug in Claude, in our case, into our data sources. So we of course get data from Amazon, we get data from our website, from Shopify, we get data from our data warehouse. We have a Loop subscription system and so forth. We plug all the data now in to Claude in real time. So it sees everything, like including even now, think about the recordings of your sessions. So it's, as a marketer, you maybe go once a week, you go look 5 recordings and you're like, okay, people click, still it works. But what if you get the AI to look at 5,000 recordings per day and deduct the information that no person in your team could ever do? So that was kind of the idea and impetus what we had on building this new system. And now once we have it in place, it's about how do we build the skills, like the agentic skills now, like how do we build the marketer, the Amazon marketer? How do we build the Google marketer? How do we build the product manager? And how do we make those work in a way that agent could then plug into Linear that we use for our system of, record of product side? Like what are we building any given day? That's in Linear. What if we can just prompt the agent to go for the data and then build the new feature, release it overnight, and then give us the data in the morning? That's where we are trying to get to. And I think if we can get there, it's pretty cool, because then you could, of course, like you do Amazon, it's very clunky. Amazon is like pasting images and videos. There's nothing fancy about it. But what if you can even do that with the agentic flow? So that's our goal. By end of the year, I hope that, this whole thing could be basically a product person or me as a CEO. I can prompt a new idea. And maybe it's not even me prompting a new idea. It's maybe picking out of 5-6 ideas that the AI came up with to test this week. And the test happens automatically. I get the data, and then we can together assess and then go forward in a new way.
Yeah, awesome. Well, I look forward to hearing how it goes when you've got it all set up. So I suppose then, some of the challenges to grow over the years as well. So I'm sure it sounds like you've had obviously great progress, but I'm sure there's been some issues there as well. So what's been some of the biggest challenge to scale Elo over the years, while sort of maintaining that efficiency and the lean team you've now got? So just talk to some of that, about some of the challenges with scaling.
Yeah, I think the main issue that I did not maybe appreciate enough in the beginning. Like my kind of problem is that when I built a new company, I always built a new vertical, new category, new area. So I may know, the problem, but I may not be the biggest expert. Some of the people built 5 companies back to back to back in the same area, like 5 marketing agencies to sell them for a couple of $1,000,000. That's not what I do. I try to build big companies in different verticals, learn as much as I can. It keeps me more agile or more, I think, engaged in life. That's just me. I mean, few people do that because it's bloody difficult. So in the beginning, you make a lot of mistakes. And but I've done this enough now. I can raise money easily. I can do all those things most people can't do. I can invest myself, use my own money if I want. So, but anyway, the challenge was that it really is hard to get awareness and get customers in, and it's really difficult to find the right customers. We had a really cool thing. Think about it, we were the first company in the world who was doing what we did. Nobody was looking for it because we were the first. There's no knowledge about this being possible. We do 3D printed gummy vitamins. Nobody even believed this possible. Like it was like a pipe dream, more Star Trek than true. So how do you get that out there? And I realized that at the time, this is maybe like 2 years ago, 3 years ago, only way to win is to be able to play the retail game really well, play the Amazon really well, or make the influencer play it in a way that you go from like a few big influencers, you have to luckily find the right ones, and you maybe need to give equity to get them. And then you need to have a long tail of 2,500 people to amplify it. But that's a lot of work. And I felt never that I'm not the best. I don't even use TikTok. I barely ever go to social media. I don't really care about it anymore. I'm old. So I'm like, I don't want to, that's not the game I play. Like, why would I be the best in the world at that? And we hired a few people who did it, but it was never really the core competence. And that's why I felt so good 2 years ago when we did this pivot where we went to, okay, let's do deals with big companies. I know those guys, and I've done these deals for many years. I can do that better than any 25-year-old who plays TikTok. Like they can never get the deals done. I can do that. So I was able to do deals that they could never do, and then it turned us into real business. But those are, I think, the ways that you have to think about, like, what are you good at? But I think I give huge amount of kudos to people who are today able to go out there and build the brand quickly with the social. I mean, it's really difficult, and those people are doing amazing work. I mean, nothing away, but it's not the thing I want to do because it's not my core competence.
So, to then take that step further, if you could wave a magic wand right now and solve one problem related to like AI and e-commerce, what would that be and why?
Well, I think it's happening now. I mean, I've been talking about this for a long time, many years already, but I think we are maybe less than 6 months away that ChatGPT, Gemini, they will be connected real time into Shopify, into different e-commerce platforms, into Stripe. It's already happening. You're seeing the demos. I was at OpenAI recently. I saw the demos of the Stripe integration. They did Etsy and a few other ones. So, and that of course not only doesn't mean the shops, but also it means that the Zillow, the OpenTable, Airbnb, and whatever you have in Europe, those are all connected into, and Spotify, they're all connected in the AI in a way that you are having a dialogue. Let's say you drive a car, you have a dialogue with your AI, whatever you use, and you find a new thing, you can buy it then and there with your voice. That's happening in the 6 months, and that will change everything. So I talked about, the podcasting, 10 years ago, podcasting started, it was nothing. Now everybody has a podcast and a cat. And by the way, it's funny enough, if you do 90% of podcasts in the world are less than 2 episodes and they quit. And the people who do 50 or more episodes, they 90% likely have an audience. So if you just keep doing 50 episodes, you will find an audience, maybe not the audience you want, but you're going to find an audience. So, but 99.9% never do more than 10. So it's kind of funny how it plays out. So you have to be persistent. But that was the one area that happened then. Then we had, social, Instagram happened and, a huge amount of benefit. TikTok was the last one that was really big. And Amazon has been kind of this up and coming because Amazon advertising now is like 40 billion a year, I think, from zero. So it's a huge, huge catalyst for everybody. But I think this AI will be bigger than all those before,
Yeah.
and it will change completely how we think about it. And if you don't play along, so I'm talking now with my team, like, how do we optimize every PDP, every product page in a way that it can be seen by every possible AI agent? How do we optimize it? Because today the AI agents are using likely Bing or Google, more
Yeah.
Google, of course. If you are not in Google Shopping, you won't be visible anywhere else. That was a discussion we had right today. And we built clinical grade products that are, built by doctors, and we are classified more as medicine, so we can't get to Google Shopping easily. So we may be invisible in the LLMs if we are not visible for Google Shopping. And now we're talking to Google team, like, what do we need to do to be visible on your side?
Yeah.
So those are kind of the small details that, are just important. But that, if I have a magic wand and say that, that let's go, if I would know what happens in a year from now, and I could actually get ready for that world, I mean, we could do amazingly well, because this
Yeah.
is a
Yeah.
platform shift. And, the companies who did those platform shifts well, they became big companies, not like
Yeah.
they doubled, but they became like 20x.
Yeah. Yeah. Nice. No, yeah, it's changing so quick all the time. We're going to be in a very different world. As you say, even in 6 months, even a year's time, it's going to be very different. So I suppose then you've obviously touched on a few already, but just in regards to what in your day to day, in Elo's day to day business, throughout the team, what are what AI strategies are being used regularly? What specific tools are being used regularly? Anything you're doing that's slightly unique or you feel is unique? Yeah, just tell us a bit about that. What's happening within the team? Anything that you're using or getting success with?
Yeah, so a lot of the work, it started about 4 years ago. So I mandated that everybody has to become fluent in the company using the LLMs.
Yeah,
It was just like a mandate, and we had a lot of people who had to go and leave because of they couldn't do it, and I just was very adamant about it. And I think it's the only way you can change a company. You can't do it in 100,000 people company. You
yeah,
can't fire half the people, but if I have a startup, I can fire half the people if I want,
yeah,
and I did that because they couldn't adopt the tools or they were not needed in the new world.
yeah,
So that's just the kind of bottom line. And then we started with, like, ChatGPT, like, and we went seminar, we went, Claude, and then depending, like, if you build code, that's of course, more on the Claude. And now I think we are getting to this next level, which is not just like, I want to build a plan, I want to build an asset, I want to build something, and then kind of manually, the person is manually feeding the asset to a system.
yeah,
The person is building a plan, then manually executing the plan. That's been kind of the way we've been doing it as everybody. It's clunky and kind of confusing at times, and sometimes a lot more work because you have a lot of text. You have
yeah,
like these big documents, you have to kind of weed them out. But it's been very, very helpful. I mean, those plans are quite good. Some of them
yeah,
really work well. So, and now we've been doing a lot of like design work that, you take the PDP, what are you going to tweak? Finding the next test, like what are we
yeah,
testing next? What are the hypotheses? What are the options? What are the creatives? So that's all kind of been done.
yeah,
And now when we go, like I said, we did this work now that you have to do, which is you connect your data into your selected system. We picked Claude because I think that at the moment sounds like the most agentic. If you haven't tested the co-work at Claude or you haven't tested the code, if you don't code, you don't understand it. But if you code as well, you understand how
yeah,
good it is. So we picked one and we do the plugins, the plumbing. And of course, you want to do the plumbing in a way that you can then later move from the one system that you plumb into. You can change it to maybe Gemini gets better or OpenAI or something. They're all moving, like they go ahead and they jump, leap
yeah,
forward, whatever. So you need to be flexible. But then you build that, and then the question is like, okay, can we go from this idea that I'm initiating the LLM to build me something, like let's say in a simple case, an ad, a
yeah,
video ad, and now it goes to okay, like I'm initiating a goal, like almost like an OKR or sub OKR for the quarter, and we give that for the system. Can it make? My goal is to get our churn rate. We want to go under 10%.
yeah,
Okay, we've been working really hard to get from like 13 to 10. Okay, I want to get to 8.
yeah,
Let you agentic system do that. And yes, we may have had people involved to approve and do some stuff,
yeah,
loading, whatever. Still, but that would be a one example that we want to do. And I think that is something that a lot of companies are struggling because frankly, my co-founder is like, he's extraordinary good technologist. I mean, most e-commerce companies don't have anyone like that in a payroll. He was the chief architect Nokia building like a smartphone platforms before.
Yeah, okay.
He built many companies and very complicated, hundreds of people, teams running his stuff. So he can do that. And you don't have normally money you can't pay $1 million to some technologist to work for your team. You have some consultant or your uncle or your nephew doing it. Or you do it yourself and you don't really understand what you're doing.
Yeah.
So, but he can do the plugging and plumbing. And you kind of have to do it. You have to find a way. And there's a big new need, I think, for consultants or companies who can come to these e-commerce companies who have no technical capabilities. No offense, but most people don't.
Yeah.
And do that for them because they just don't understand. And if they do it, they can do it in a way that they do it, and it's super risky for data breach perspective, leakage perspective, and so forth. But that has to happen now. And then, of course, when you do that, you literally are one step away of going from the like a sub OKR level to the top OKR level. So I'm assuming that a year and a half from now, I don't need to run this company anymore. It runs itself.
Yeah.
So I don't need to be involved at all. And it may be maybe 10 people, and it may be 50 million revenue a year with like 5 people. That's what my goal. And I think it will happen. And when this happens, everybody who is doing these e-commerce companies, 100 people, they're fucked.
Yeah.
They won't be around. They're dead because they can't operate. If I can spend 90% of my return into ad spend, I mean, it's like athletic greens. They make this stuff for $1 and they sell it for $80 and they can spend $70 on marketing. Like, try competing with them. Impossible.
Yeah, that covers some of the future stuff that I was going to get onto later. But I suppose to wrap up some of the sort of solution focus, if you were to be chatting to another e-commerce leader, same role as you, different business, what would be your sort of biggest piece of advice to any other e-commerce leader that's looking to implement AI in their business?
Yeah, I mean, I think first of all, I have nothing to do with e-commerce. I've never been an e-commerce person. I will never be an e-commerce person. I built tech companies that are usually very complicated. So, and nothing like, I don't poop on anyone's table, but I look at many of these companies. I never invested in any e-commerce company. I've been investing in like almost 100 startups in the last 15 years. Because I don't think there's anything there really. Like, you just luck to find one angle to hook a product in. Most products are no better than others. There are some, exceptions, but e-commerce here usually means like, stuff that you do, t-shirts or whatever, and you try to make a buck out of it. Your t-shirts is no better than other ones. Your supplements are no better than other ones. Your nutrition stuff is no better than other ones normally. So there's no differences in the product level. So it's all marketing. And then it's a game of marketing. Like, can you do something better than somebody else? And not even maybe better. Can you find like a pocket of people that you can get addicted to your stuff and steal their money? I mean, that's what e-commerce mainly is today. And that will all be done by AI. So no human today can compete with what we do, for example, already on the cloud. Like this, in 2 months, I think that what we get out of this is better than any person could ever do themselves. And because they can do changes by day based on hundreds of data points, and a human can take like 3 data points in at any given day and then maybe even understand it. So, and there's intuition, of course. Some people who have done this a long time, they have really good intuition. They can come in and they get 80% quickly, which is super, super valuable. And those people are worth the gold. But then to go from the 80 to 95, that is, you guys know, it takes so much time and effort. It's so hard to do. Like, it's this tweaking for years. What if you can get the AI to tweak from the 80% that somebody can get you to as a beginning, and then you can tweak it in like 2 months? And then every time the other side, the algorithmic world we are marketing now to changes. So like I think everybody has to accept the fact that, what are you doing today will 100% likely stop working next year. And you have to reinvent your wheel. And this wheel cannot be reinvented by you becoming better at what you are today as a human. Can't be done anymore because other people are going to do it with AI. And I have a feeling that in the US today, like you have a lot of these Chinese companies who dominate now Amazon. I think we're going to see the Chinese companies take over. They probably have a better AI tools. They may even, like government may even subsidize them to build better AI tools, and they're gonna use them 100%. And you see it every day. Like there's like a product popping up at Amazon that is clearly like, you know, copycat of you, made in China, and they in a few weeks they get to 1,000 reviews. It's impossible to do that by sales. There's something happening behind the scenes, and Amazon doesn't care because, you know, they make money on no at all. So that's going to happen. So, and you know, I've seen this in other industries, and when it happens, it's just going to be very, very cold, sour for people, and all the small brands are going to die.
Okay, cool. So you've spoken about where you see your role within 1.5 years. You won't need to run your business, but where do you see Elo Health in the next 5 years?
Yeah, so I think Elo can be our core competence now is really we can build really good products for people who don't know how to do it. So we were a D2C company selling Elo brand and building Elo brand, and we are now building like a white label solutions mainly for other people. If you have a brand, Elo can help you launch a new supplement product, being powder, being gummies, being pills, in a matter of 90 days. So that is a really unique capability, and we can do it in a clinical setting. If you are a clinic doing weight loss treatments, or you are, let's say, a wearable device who wants to do, you know, sleep products or energy or whatever. So that's what we can do quite well. And I think, you know, if we can just do that properly and tap into existing streams of customers people already have, and like in this case, like a simple example, you take like a Aura. A ring is $300. People pay $7 per month for Aura, so they make about $100 a year, bit less, as fee of a subscription. Okay, if we sell somebody a sleep supplement that can help the people sleep even a little bit better, they're gonna pay $50 a month. And they will likely be quite loyal if they can see the data on the ring that, you know, it actually helps me. So, okay, you pay $50. Let's say your LTV is $650. I can easily pay Aura $300 a year, profit. So you can double your ARPU. And that's a pretty interesting thing, right?
Yeah.
How many companies there are in healthcare, in other areas where you have an existing pool of people, like another one, Peloton. Okay, people who have Peloton, they love the Peloton. And we of course been talking to them about this quite a long, but you know, they haven't done it yet. But you know, why don't Peloton team build like their own recovery protein powder? With the Peloton own shaker, with the own brand. Okay, how many of the Peloton people use protein? 80%. Why doesn't Peloton sell the protein? And I don't know if you know this, but you know, the Peloton instructors, they are making like 50 million a year hawking other people's products. Not Peloton. Like, what's the whole point? Like, why would Peloton build their own product? So those are just, I think, will happen a lot more. That, you know, people are trying to build more. Like I said, you know, new brands are difficult to build, and they likely will be in trouble. But these big brands that are already there, like the Auras and the Pelotons or Whoops or whatever, they are anchors, and you can build a lot more products around those brands. Exactly. Yeah. I mean, it's a great product, but you know, wouldn't you like to buy? Let's say you'd use a Whoop to train. What if Whoop gives you custom-made protein powder optimized for your exercise? Would you buy it?
Probably.
Yeah, and I'm talking to them like, oh, please listen to Whoop, guys. Like, let's finally do it. Like, I've been talking about this 2 years. Like, but those are kind of ideas that we do now and we are doing it because the world out there for the e-commerce and the retail is very, very stormy. And I'd rather work with somebody like Whoop, who is already a brand that people love, and then they can sell more products into their pipeline. It may not even be, you know, branded Whoop, but it would be their marketplace that they offer you. And if you saw like the biggest ad now in the last 2 weeks was the Hims ad in the Super Bowl. And of course, Hims is now down the train, you know. We just have like, I mean, there's a big debate on my LinkedIn about this, hundreds of thousands of people debating. So Hims went down the drain because they are taking a lot of risk. They are trying to sell compounded drugs that are basically illegal right now. But the ad is more about that. Ad is about you take a blood test at home or in a lab, and then based on the blood test, they give you treatments, weight loss, testosterone, supplements, whatever. By the way, that's the Elo idea we started 5 years ago with. We didn't have, you know, the treatment of medicine, but the nutrition. So they're doing exactly what I was doing 5 years ago. And that is a really, really good model because what we want that. We want to understand what's wrong with us, and then we want to get the treatment that can make us better. And those things we know work, like the weight loss drugs, they do work. If you are 45, 50-year-old man with low libido and you get testosterone, it does work.
Yeah.
I'm not recommending everybody take it, but it does work. So that's, I think, the idea that we need to do more in e-commerce, like build these bigger verticalized players, marketplaces that and then all play together on those.
Awesome. Thanks very much, Ari. Some amazing insights from you here. Thanks very much for sharing your insight. And I suppose before we wrap up, where can our listeners find out more about you or Elo? Is LinkedIn the best place for you?
I'm active in LinkedIn myself, and you can find Elo at elo.health. And if you are interested about launching nutrition products in the weight loss or sleep or fertility, send me a note. Happy to help.
Awesome. Well, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on. Thank you very much, Ari, for a fantastic conversation. And we'll talk to you soon.